22 ways to build your email list fast. That's what we're talking about today, so stick around. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Alan, and on this channel, we talk all things sales funnels and digital marketing. Now, building your email list, aka generating leads, is probably the most important thing you can do for your business. It builds trust, drives traffic, makes sales, and much more. But most importantly, it creates an audience that no one can stop you from communicating with. Now, technically, there's an unlimited number of ways to build your list, but I went ahead and put together the 22 best ways for you to build yours. Now, keep in mind, just because I give you a big list of tactics here doesn't necessarily mean that you should combine all of them and do them all at once, for many reasons, but mainly because it will take you just way too much time. Think of these tactics as a sandwich or a burger or a salad or something like that, which means that you can pile everything into one, but it generally works better if you're selective with the ones that you choose and make a good combination. So let's go ahead and jump right in to 22 ways to grow your list fast. Now, before we get started, let's take a look at 3 tools you should have in place before you get started on your list building journey. So the first thing you should have in place is a lead magnet. Now, I talk a lot more about lead magnets in my video here on how to create your own, but just to summarize, lead magnets are free offers that encourage your audience to join your list. The second thing you should have is an ESP, or email service provider. Now, you've probably heard of companies or services such as MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, Aweber, or many more like that. And although I suggest ActiveCampaign, the truth is that they're all pretty similar. So whatever you do, get an ESP sooner than later. Worst comes to worst, go ahead and just start free on MailChimp. And finally, the third thing you should have in place is a content channel. Now, I know some people may not already be producing content or they may not have an audience, but in case you haven't started already, then definitely create your own platform. This means on YouTube, Instagram, a blog, pretty much on any platform so that your audience can learn more about you and so that you can establish your expert position and so that you can show your knowledge a bit. So if you haven't already created a platform or channel, then definitely get on that as well. So let's jump right in and let's start with number 22 here, which is to have a website. Now, I know that some YouTube videos might tell you you don't need a website to build your list or to collect leads, and technically that's true, but trust me, it makes your life much, much easier. Having a website gives you tons of opportunities. It gives you a place to put your content, to generate leads, to offer your lead magnets, to display your offers, and much, much more. Now, number 21 to build your list is to have a lead magnet. Now, I know I just mentioned this a second ago, but trust me, this is probably the most important part of building your list and maybe the most important part of your entire business. Now remember, your lead magnet is not something you have to do. It's something you get to do, because no matter what you're selling, you literally get to choose your audience and your customer or client with your lead magnet. So if you want to attract people who are rich, or who aren't, or who are swimmers, or who are golfers, or hikers, or whatever type of audience you're looking for, your lead magnet is literally the best tool you have in your pocket or in your arsenal to single out and to filter and find those leads. Now, number 20 to build your list is to put those lead magnets everywhere you can. Now, some people get more creative than others with this, but go nuts if you can. This means you can put links to your lead magnet in your Facebook profile, Instagram profile, email signature, website, of course, a business card. Literally, there is no limit to the amount of places you can put your lead magnet or a link to it. So get as creative as you need to and definitely put it in as many places as you can. Or if you don't want to overdo it, you can be as strategic as you like, but definitely put them in more than one place so that people can definitely find it and join your list. Number 19 is to use pop-ups. Now, I know pop-ups might seem like a strategy from the internet maybe 20 years ago, but trust me, they still work just as good as ever. You can put pop-ups just about anywhere. You can have timed pop-ups, such as when somebody spends a certain amount of time on a web page, or you can use exit intent pop-ups when somebody wants to leave your website. There's tons of ways to use pop-ups, but just keep in mind that however you can, find a way to throw in pop-ups into your mix of list building activities because they work. Number 18 is to create a dedicated landing page. Now, I know I just mentioned to put your lead magnet in a pop-up, but in any case, you should always give your lead magnets, offers, products, and just about everything else its own landing page with its own description, its own opt-in box, its own image if you can, and everything else like that. You want to give it the respect it deserves. Remember that lead magnets are just as important as your main products or services, or maybe even more important. Number 17 to build your list fast is to publish content consistently. Now, you may already be doing this, but I'm guessing most of you aren't, especially because it took me forever to do this. Choose your platform if you don't already have one. This means YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, a blog, any platform where you can write down your ideas, express yourself, show your work, show your case studies and happy clients and testimonials, and literally anything else like that. So 1, choose your platform, and 2, publish consistently. This means don't start a blog or YouTube channel if you're just going to put up 3 videos and then forget about it and then not publish anything for a year. Now, I know a lot of people get hung up on choosing the right or perfect platform. While it is important, don't spend too much time worrying about it. The content is what matters most. If you do want to choose a specific or best platform, then here are 2 things to consider. Number 1, choose 2 platforms. I know some people are torn and just can't decide. So if you must, then choose 2 main platforms to publish on, and that's fine if you can keep up, of course. And 2, maybe more importantly, is to, if you're wondering which platform to publish on, go where your customers are. It seems like it makes sense. If you're gonna go hunt an animal, go where the animals are. So if all of your audience, if all your target customers or clients are on Facebook or on Twitter or Reddit, or even if they're at real life events or something like that, wherever they are, go to them. For ideas on content you can create anytime, types, and how to come up with ideas, then definitely check out my video here. Number 16 in ways to build your list is to ask them. I know that seems like a crazy idea, but most people never actually ask for what they want. Call it whatever excuse you like, but being shy here, this isn't the place to be shy. So if you want people to join your list, literally tell them to. If it's on your blog, say, join now to get blah, 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 or sign up here to get my 5-day course. Whatever it is, literally spell it out for them. I know that on one hand, some people say it's too salesy and forward, and on the other hand, some people say, but isn't that treating them like they're dumb or like a kid? It doesn't really matter how you look at it. But the point is, the human brain, psychology, consumer behavior, whatever you want to call it, we all react the same way, which means we are all on the fence about everything pretty much until somebody gives us a little nudge. It's not being pushy, and even if it is, it works. Number 15 is to use video. Now, I know this might blow your mind, especially because of how you're watching me right now, but the point is that video, I think, is probably the best medium or the best content channel to reach pretty much anyone. Now, I know some people will say, but I have a blog, but I have a Pinterest, but I have a Twitter, but Instagram is great, blah, 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 blah. Okay, all of that is great. I'm not saying you're wrong, but just overall, video just hands down works best. For many reasons. They can see your face, it builds trust, just a ton of reasons, and you can repurpose it into a blog. So you can repurpose your text into a blog post if you must. You can clip it into tweets. You can repurpose it into a podcast or audio. So I see video as the top of the pyramid. And if you start with video, then you can repurpose that video into blog, tweets, Reddits, pins or Pinterests, podcasts, everything can branch out of video, and it builds trust and it has tons of other benefits. So whether you have a webinar, a mini video course, a YouTube channel, whatever you do, or even if you have a quick video on your lead magnet landing page, whatever you do, try to mix in video however you can. Number 14 is to interact online and in real life. So whether you have a channel or a platform or not, the best way to get your name out there and attract people to you is to put yourself out there. So of course, this could mean, if this is online, this could mean getting involved in Facebook groups, commenting and joining and becoming a part of them. You could comment even on YouTube videos. You could become a part of any online group or forum so that people can learn more about you and pretty much hear about you. So if you want people to hear about you, then put yourself out there. It kind of makes sense. And as far as real life is concerned, of course, this might cost a little bit more money, but if you can, you could attend relevant conferences, events, meetups, whether it's online or off. Interact, meet people, get to know people, let people get to know you, whether that's commenting, posting, asking questions, meeting people in real life, however you can do it, interact and get to know people, and more importantly, let them get to know you. Number 13 is to use traditional media. When I say traditional media, I mean TV, cable, magazine, newspapers, yellow pages if they still exist, direct mail or junk mail as some people call it. Now, the reason why these things still exist and existed in the first place is because they work. Now, of course, it always comes back to your audience, that wherever you publish, wherever you try to build your list and offer your lead magnet and so forth, you want to make sure that's where your target audience is. But if your audience is 40 plus, maybe older, you can look all that up. But depending on the age range, the niche, the industry, the market, and so forth, you might be much better off actually targeting traditional media. Now, I know some people think that number one, nobody watches or reads those things. Number two, they're too expensive. Both of those things are just couldn't be more wrong. And it's okay if you thought those things. I thought those things not too long ago as well. But number one, the argument that nobody reads those things, no, tons of people read those things. Not only the 50 plus, 40 plus age range, but pretty much everyone. Just like with pop-ups earlier, that the reason why junk mail or pop-ups or commercials or any of these things are annoying is because they aren't relevant. If you see an ad that says, hey, is your name blah, 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 and do you like money? Then check us out. Well, that's kind of a weird example, but if it's relevant to you specifically and what you want, then it isn't junk mail. Then it isn't a waste of time commercial. Then it isn't an annoying pop-up. Then it's something you like. And the second excuse a lot of people use to not use traditional media is that they think it's expensive. Now, traditional media, especially on TV, well, pretty much any of them, it has been super cheap for a while now. So obviously cable especially, and newspapers, well, all print, I guess, has been taking a huge nosedive for the last at least 5 years, but especially now. Well, who knows? With Corona, they might be taking a little uptick. But in any case, it is extremely cheap to advertise or to put in a post or even to put in your own content into a trade magazine, into a local cable channel, into your local newspaper, or anything like that. Remember that, of course, it does have to do with your audience and your product or market, but consider traditional media to build your list. Number 12 is to write a book. Now, I know this sounds super scary for some people, but just remember that authority and trust are probably the most important things you are trying to communicate in any marketing message. And the old phrase says that you can't spell authority without author. So there are more than enough YouTube videos and channels on how to write a book, but the short story is that writing a book is not nearly as hard as you think it is, and actually writing it's just like creating a lead magnet, where it gives you an opportunity. It's not something you have to do. It's something you get to do. So if you want to start a business about microphones, then you could write a book about this could be a lead magnet also, 10 ways to choose a great microphone for podcasting. Now, I know that might sound like a blog post, maybe edit the title a little bit and you can make that a book. And even if it does sound a little lead magnet or blog postish, as long as it's relevant to your target audience, not only will that make you an authority in your industry, it will be the best business card you could possibly have. It definitely won't get thrown away. Even if they re-gift it, it's still useful. So if you can, I know it's a little bit of a more time-consuming step, but if you can, definitely consider finally getting around to writing that book. Number 11 is to host events, virtual or in real life. So virtually, this could be a webinar, an online training, some kind of conference or summit or interview, pretty much any way to host or throw an event. Of course, now with Corona and so forth, throwing an event in real life might be a little tougher. So let's just stick with virtually. Virtual events, even without Corona, they would have been the future. So whether you want to throw a summit or host or organize a summit, a webinar, a training, a live online course, a live workshop, pretty much any way to throw a live event that people have to attend, people love attending events. Number 10 in ways to build your list is public speaking. Now, yes, back to Corona for a minute. This might be a slightly more difficult now for the next few months at least. But however you can wing it, look into public speaking. Now, there are two benefits. Actually, there's a bunch of benefits to this. Here are a few. Number one, it works wonders to build trust and to have a captive audience. Number two, it gives you, even if there's 0 people in the audience, literally, as long as you're on a stage, record yourself. This will be great content for your channel. So however you can wing it, definitely try to do that. And one last thing about public speaking is a lot of people think that it's just too hard. Who would want to book me? I'm a beginner. I don't know anything. I don't have any connections. Just not true. There are tons. If anything, it's the opposite. There are tons of stages who are desperate for a warm body with anything interesting to say. Now, of course, you might not be speaking at I don't know, what's a big fancy talk? You're not going to be speaking at a TED Talk or at some big famous summit or conference in Davos or wherever on your first try, but there's definitely a local chamber of commerce, community college, regular university, Toastmasters, entrepreneur group. It's literally unlimited, the amount of places and clubs and groups that are looking for people to educate and entertain their audience. Number 9 is to be or host a guest. This means you can be a guest on somebody else's platform, or you can interview and host somebody else on your platform. Now, there are tons of ways to do this. And of course, you're probably not going to interview Oprah or Tony Robbins on your first go, but if you can, try to find somebody at your level or a little higher, or somebody you know, or just somebody interesting that might be relevant to your audience. That's if you're hosting somebody, which is super useful for a million reasons. Number 1, to have a platform, and number 2, to be able to host people and to be able to choose who you have on your platform. Your platform is pretty much a canvas where you can paint or choose the exact array of people to have on there. Aside from hosting guests and interviewing people and so forth, you could be a guest on somebody else's platform. Now, there is a whole science and art to this, especially if you want to know more about this. Definitely, you could look into something called the Dream 100 or the Chet Holmes book, The Ultimate Sales Machine. The point is that do what you can, and there's a lot of things you can do to chum up, to cozy up, or to befriend people in your industry, whether they're below, at your level, or above. I don't really like those terms, but however you want to look at it, and literally befriend them, or at the very least, get them to know who you are, to recognize your name if they see it or hear it. And if you can, the goal is to get on their platforms, to be a guest, or you can always have them as a guest on your platform. So both of those ideas work great actually to build your list. Now, number 8 is to use quizzes and surveys. Now, trust me, it took me years to finally put a quiz on my website because I said, how in the world do quizzes work? I can't stand when people repost, well, I guess this was a long time ago, when people used to post on Facebook, I am this kind of pizza, I am this Ninja Turtle, I am this Harry Potter character. Oh, it drives me crazy. I guess, you know what? People do still do that today. So it took me forever to find out or to accept how popular and common and successful quizzes could be. But the short story is that they work. Let's say your target market is singers. So you can have a quiz that says, take this quiz to find out the best microphone for your voice. Or take this quiz to find out what kind of backup singers you should have, or what kind of equipment works best for you, or what kind of acoustics you should have, or what kind of, I don't know, whatever singers are interested in. The point is that if you're a singer, that's really interesting to you. So if you go to a website and if somebody says, hey, fill out this quick free quiz and I'll tell you the best gear or the best microphone for your vocal range or for your business or for your whatever, then somebody who's in that market will say, that's interesting and it's free. Sure, I'll click a few buttons so that I can find out that valuable information. Of course, they have to opt in and join your list to get the result or the answer. But on top of all that, number 1, quizzes work extremely well to build your list. Number 2, maybe even more importantly, you get tons of data. So if you're just building your list normally, most people, well, I at least, but let's say most people just ask for a name and or an email address. And that's it. I know some people ask for a phone number and a bunch of other junk, but let's just say name and email. Those are the 2 most common things that are asked for when somebody signs up for a list. But with a quiz, you can get tons more information out of them. You can see what their preferences are, where they live, what equipment they already have, what products they already buy, where they shop. Tons of extremely valuable information that's much easier to get in a quiz. Now, if you just ask somebody in a regular boring form on your website, where do you shop? You know, people are going to say, this is annoying. I'm not going to fill this out. I'm out of here. But if you ask it to them in quiz form and one question at a time, and you give them a compelling result at the end of the quiz, then they are going to eagerly and willingly and super easily give you all that juicy, valuable information to be able to better segment and sell to them. Number 7 are contests and challenges. Now, these are kind of like quizzes in that they took me forever to finally come around to the fact that these actually work. Let's start with contests. I'm not a huge fan of contests, although they do work well. Actually, maybe I am a fan of them, I just haven't done it yet. But when most people think of contests, they think of giving away a free iPad or something like that, which if that's going to be your prize, just bad idea. That's not going to attract quality leads and it's going to be a waste of time for everybody. But if it's something relevant, if your market is singers, like we said, and if you're giving away some fancy microphone or whatever else singers like, then that would be much more useful. Although, well, me personally, I never join contests because I know I'm never going to win or I'm just bitter. But a lot of people say it works for them. So power to you if you can make it work. Otherwise, the other half of that are challenges, which are kind of similar. Not exactly. Now, challenges are not exactly new, but the new popular kid on the block, which these work very well lately to build a list. Now, this means sign up for my 30-day challenge to lose 10 pounds. Sign up for my 2-week challenge to build your email list. Actually, that would be a pretty good lead magnet. Sign up for my 60-day challenge to start a YouTube channel, to run a marathon, to blah, blah, blah. The point is that challenges work very well. They make people feel like they are part of a community in a way. They feel more connected to you. They build trust. And of course, they do build your list. Number 6 is to collaborate. Now, we've already talked about this a little kind of in a few other numbers, especially in the hosting and being a guest. But this one is a little different because collaborating can be anything where you join forces with someone else. So this could be co-writing a book, co-creating a product. Anything where you and somebody else team up to do something is considered a collaboration. You can co-create content or products, like I said, or offers or anything like that. Not only is it useful for everybody, but you and your partner, you and your collaborator are able to expose yourselves to each other's audiences, which works best if you're in similar but not directly competing markets. So just keep that in mind, that collaborations work well for tons of reasons. Actually, not only to build your list, but just to build your network. Who knows, you might even make some friends. Number 5 to build your list are paid ads. Now, I know some people say, oh, I don't have money, I don't want to use ads. No. And they freak out about ads. But long story short, I think ads are probably the best traffic source in the world because you know the price, it gets eyeballs on your offer or whatever, and you can literally tell immediately if your product or offer or content is going to be a hit or not, for the most part. So the big 3 advantages to paid ads are, number 1, that they are the easiest way to build your list or to get eyeballs on whatever you want them to look at. Number 2 is it is the fastest way to all of those things I just said to build your list. So it's easiest, it's the fastest, and third, it's scalable, which means that if you find an ad that works, and let's say you're paying, let's make it the math easy. If you're paying $1 to serve up an ad, and if it works well and the ad viewer buys something and gives you $3 back, so if you put in $1 and get back $3, you can scale that to the moon or to however high you want to take it to, as opposed to creating content, collaborations. A lot of these other tactics, which are good, just aren't nearly as scalable or as fast or as easy. Number 4 to build your list fast is to use your personal social profiles. Now, I know some people get super scared of this option. On one hand, it's literally the easiest thing you could do to build your list. On the other hand, it's one of the options people are least likely to do or to use or to even want to use. So let's say Facebook, for example. Somebody can make a whole course about this strategy or this tactic where there are tons of people who have built their entire business off of writing on their Facebook page, on their own Facebook page. They don't even need a YouTube channel or anything like that, where they write, hey everyone, this is what I'm doing now. This is who I help to do what. Let me know if you're interested. Or here's a document of something I made for this type of person. Let me know if you want it. Just however you want to do it. It's literally just posting on your very own profile, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be. Now, I know some people say, but what will my family think? What will my ex-girlfriends think? What will my whatever think? They'll make fun of me. They'll tease me. They'll know it doesn't work. If you're worried about that stuff, then sorry, but business just might not be for you. If being a little bit embarrassed, maybe, is that much of an issue, anyway, I won't go down that path, but just keep in mind that you're already sitting on a goldmine of platform and of audience. Now, don't think that, oh, but nobody in my audience, nobody of my friends is interested in what I'm selling. But what if they tease me? What if they make fun of me? But it won't work. How do you know? How do you know any of these things? The short story is that you don't. So that you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So that's a pretty good decision tree. That's a pretty easy decision, I should say. So definitely use or consider using your own social profiles to build your list. So you can offer a lead magnet directly, or you can just let people know this is what you're doing and to get in touch with you if they are interested or if they know somebody who is. Now, number 3 on our list here, it's slightly more advanced, not exactly, but it's text messaging or SMS messaging or marketing, however you want to call it. I think they use SMS in Europe. So the point is that you've probably seen this for years, if not decades, where somebody says, text I want to 1234 and we'll send you blah, blah, blah. Now, this is not new, although it is much more accessible to normal people or businesses or marketers now. So this might seem a little scary or new or unorthodox for some businesses, but just keep in mind that just like with any of these other tactics, there are entire businesses who have been built on this tactic alone and on every tactic I've mentioned so far. Number 2 on this list are chatbots, and we'll go ahead and combine Facebook Messenger here. Keep in mind that most lead generation and list building is done with email. Now, email is not dead at all, and it is super crucial and important, and I am not hating on it in any way, but I am not unaware that a lot of emails are never read or instantly deleted or never seen or opened for one reason or another. So remember that your first and main goal is to actually get opened or read or seen, and any other goals come after that. So you want to maximize your chance to be seen. So if you hit them with an email, and if they don't see it for any reason, what other inboxes do you have a chance to reach them at where they don't have so much traffic like most people's email inboxes do? We just mentioned their texts. Most phone text inboxes are very sacred, so that's a great place, like we just mentioned in the last number. Or Facebook Messenger. That's another great inbox that is relatively untouched, that people definitely read every message they get in there. All of this kind of connects to chatbots, which are slightly different than Facebook Messenger. But back to chatbots here, if you're right on your website, and if you're sticking with the singer niche, if a singer is on your website and they want to know more about your product, or they have a question about your lead magnet or your offer or whatever, you can have a little button on the bottom, a little chat picture that says, any questions? Ask me now. And then right when they ask their question, the chatbot will say, put in your name and email in case I'm not able to respond right away. Even if you are able to respond right away, now you have their contact information and now you have them on your list. So chatbots, Facebook Messenger, not exactly the same, but they are kind of similar, are all great ways to build your list as well. And the number 1 way to build your list are with referrals. And better yet, if you can incentivize referrals. Now, there's a few ways to do this, but we're just going to explain it the easy way. Now, if you have any customers or clients already, you want to make it as easy, number 1, and as let's just say incentivized as a whole to have them refer people to you. So Apple is a good example, or Samsung, or Hydro Flask water bottles, or Rode microphones. Actually, there's a pretty strong collection of people who love that. The point is that you want people to tell their friends about you. You want people to feel cool, to like get some kind of status increase by telling their friends about you. If somebody refers you to their friend and you do a great job for their friend also, then the original person, the referrer, now looks cooler in their friend's eyes, which makes them kind of puff out their chest and feel better about themselves. Do what you can to, number 1, ask for referrals or get them however you can. And number 2, incentivize them. Because even if people like you, even if you did a good job or you sold a good product, most people are fence sitters. Most people default to inaction. So that's why give them a little nudge. Whether you pay them with money or you just give them a solid thank you. Do what you can to incentivize referrals and to keep those peripheral leads coming in, which of course are not only the highest quality leads, but are the warmest or hottest since they come in from a satisfied customer or client. And one bonus tactic I forgot to mention is to hit the like button and subscribe if you learned something interesting here today. It does help a lot. What's your favorite way to build your list? Or are there any tactics I missed? Let me know in the comments below. If you want more help building your list or funnel, then definitely check out my guide below for 20 ways to get more leads and sales out of your current funnel. That does it for now. Thanks everyone for stopping by, and I'll see all of you next time.